Hello, OT friends, and welcome to the Uncommon OT series. I'm Patricia Modis, and I'm your host, a Filipino-American, native New Yorker, currently based in Los Angeles, bulldog mama, and an uncommon occupational therapist myself for the past 22 years. On this podcast, you will hear me proudly feature the unique careers of occupational therapy practitioners working in non-traditional and role-emerging practice areas, settings where OT is uncommon. I invite you to receive a dose of OT inspiration, to learn, to think outside of the box, and to be energized and motivated to follow in these unconventional paths. Happy listening! Welcome back, OT friends, and thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time listening, I'm really glad that you found your way here. And if you've been listening for a while, welcome back. Each year, I return to this annual holiday episode, my favorite things about being an occupational therapist, as a way to pause, to reflect, and to take stock of how this profession continues to really shape us, not just in what we do, but in who we are becoming. Every year, I come back to this question. Not because the answer stays the same, but because I don't. Now this year, being an occupational therapist looked many different ways for me. I was still practicing OT, yes, but just not in one setting or in one role. My practice showed up across community spaces, educational spaces, media, mentorship, and systems work. The same OT lens, just a wider impact. Now, this year also asked something new of me. I made the decision to begin my doctoral studies in occupational therapy. Now, this is a bit late news because I'm 3 semesters in and I'm back in the role of a student. Learning, questioning, stretching, and reorienting myself in ways that I didn't fully anticipate. I mean, at this point in my career, returning to school really, felt like a privilege. There's so much new learning happening, so much reflection, also a lot of unlearning. And really pursuing my OTD has become a deeply personal goal. It's really not about titles for me, but really more about growth. It's really more about rigor and honoring the profession that continues to shape me after 25 years of practice. Yay. So, through the Uncommon OT Series podcast, I also spent the year and many conversations that really reminded me of why this work matters so much. Not the polished definition of how we learn early on, but the lived one. These are occupational therapy practitioners building roles where none existed before. Occupational therapy practitioners practicing in community-based, entrepreneurial, and non-traditional spaces. Stories reaching listeners around the world and quietly offering permission. Your OT career doesn't have to look like anyone else's for it to be valid. Now this year further deepened my belief in occupational therapy as public education. Using storytelling, dialogue, and media to help people truly understand what occupational therapy is. And more importantly, what it can become. Now, this year offered recognition too, receiving a media award from the Occupational Therapy Association of California just this past November for advancing occupational therapy through storytelling, innovation, and non traditional practice is something I'm still slowly letting sink in. But some of the most meaningful moments weren't really public. These were moments of mentorship, supervising and supporting OT interns as their confidence grows, as their questions sharpened, and their professional identities began to take shape. And of course, there were clients, community based, trauma informed care, groups centered on transitioning, regulation, identity, meaningful occupations, and belonging. This is the occupational therapy in real life. Now, much of this work happened beyond traditional healthcare systems. In collaboration, in advocacy, in spaces occupational therapy was never formally invited into, but was deeply needed. Now, when I listened back to this original recording, I didn't really want to replace it. I just wanted to layer it because growth does not erase what came before it. In fact, we're building on it. So, what you'll hear next brings together voices from different moments in time, occupational therapy practitioners practicing in a wide range of settings, roles, and identities. My hope is that somewhere in these reflections, you'll hear words that resonate with where you are right now, words that remind you why you chose this profession, or give language to something you've been feeling but haven't quite named yet. So, in this episode, take what speaks to you, let it inspire you, and know that you're not alone in how you're practicing, how you're questioning, or how you're becoming.
Can you tell us what your favorite part is about being an occupational therapist and why?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite part of being an occupational therapist are our patients and our clients. I love getting to work with people, getting to understand people, who they are, their motivations in life, what they care about. And I think it really helps me to not only come up with, okay, what are we going to work on together? What are we going to do together? But I think it's always nice getting to have that little moment in time in someone's life. I think that's kind of beautiful. And so that's my favorite part.
Now, what is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
Oh, what's my favorite part? I think my favorite part is really being able to see people come to the realization that there's more than what they're limiting themselves to, right? And things that we take for granted, like, for example, something super simple as a sock aid, right? Someone can't get their socks on, and we come in with this assistive device that we know, I mean, it's been around forever, but it's super new to that patient, and they think we are a miracle worker, right? This is the coolest thing they've ever seen. You've just solved a problem for them. But I also feel like, in addition to helping people solve problems, it's letting them learn through us supporting them. So it's not just giving them the fish, but teaching them to fish. And I think that that's one of my favorite parts.
What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
Ah, Well, my favorite part about being an occupational therapist is I think it's the paying it forward. I think it's the do-gooders of the world that we are that come to this profession. We just sincerely and just to be as generic as possible, we want to help people. And I think it's our little way of sort of making the world a better place because the world kind of stinks sometimes. And especially right now, the world is very difficult for a lot of people. And so if you could help problem solve, you could help somebody have a better day. You could help somebody get access to their home when they didn't have access, or you can help somebody turn over a new leaf or write a new chapter in their book of life. There's something very rewarding and very fulfilling about that. And it makes you feel like you're adding those good ripples. Like, when you see a stone getting thrown across the lake or the pond, and,
Mhm.
you throw stones, and we used to do that in the Midwest. And it's like you see that ripple and it keeps going. And I see it as just a way to, like, if you can't make the big world a better place, we can make the little world a better place. And I think that's good energy. I think that's good juju, and I feel like we're all cut from the same cloth, people who come to OT. We've got positive vibes. We enjoy people. We enjoy doing things for others, and that's probably my favorite part about this profession.
I love that.
Now, what is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
So yeah, it's that freedom, but that's because it's so wide that you can find your passion and you can, yeah, take it in so many directions. Yeah, it's got a lot of scope to it.
The variety, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
I would say my favorite part now that makes me love the job so much, or the career I've chosen, is being able to adapt. Whether it's learning to adapt to the day or making adaptations for the kids I work with, or for the adults if I start doing that again. But because some of the stuff I adapt can be for adults too, it could be for any age. But last week I was involved in a faculty retreat for Tom Makers, and we made these little toddler trainers, like small little mini wheelchairs, really cool stuff. And it was so cool to see being able to make something and then give it to a kid right that
Uh-huh.
night. We actually delivered it, or someone came to the facility that we were at Adapted Design in New York City, and they picked it up. And the thing that I loved is that one of the faculty members that we were with was so like mind blown of thinking of every day he makes things, but they go nowhere. Who cares about what they do? What could these new electronics do for this population? It's not even for a person that he meets, but he was able to see someone take that piece of equipment that we adapted, and it allowed that small little kid to push himself around the room. And knowing that I do that on a daily basis, and for him to spend an hour adapting something or making something for somebody and seeing that impact makes you realize the stuff that we do each day and what an impression it makes on the families, the kids, and the community and at large.
Oh, what a beautiful story. What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
I think my favorite part about being an OT is surprising people with how much we really can help. Because I think a lot of people think like, oh, I don't know, like you're not going to be able to do much for me. And then we come in with our like creative solution or like our intense knowledge of the disease process that they're going through, or like any other aspect of OT that we are super in depth, like skillful with. And then they're like, oh my gosh, like how did I never think of that? Or wow, this is life changing for me. And like those tiny little moments where people realize, like, okay, this simple thing really worked. It's like, yes, this is what OT is. I love it.
Love that too.
Well, for me, it's that every day is different and that I can use my occupational therapy lens to look at things maybe in a distinct way. So I think the sky is the limit on what we can do as occupational therapy practitioners. It just requires thinking different sometimes, thinking outside the box and not being frightened, to be brave that, you can try things and maybe you make a mistake and what are the lessons learned? And that's sort of how I've approached my career. I try things and some things work, and some don't, but I always learn from those lessons.
This is so much shared, right? I think maybe this is the occupational therapy heart that we all have beating within us. It's different. And at the same time, it's this really incredible opportunity to just constantly be involved in a collaborated and unique problem solving, right? Like it's the idea that there actually isn't a solution. There isn't a right answer. There isn't an only pathway, but that actually the whole journey of occupational therapy is that you're walking alongside someone and you're like brainstorming together. And you can have what looks on the outside, or from the details in a chart, what presents as two exactly same experiences. And you've discovered two uniquely different pathways to get to a result at the end. And to me, it's this incredible reminder of the complexity that we are as humans. And it helps me to, I think, just appreciate life, and all that we bring to it. And I would be totally in, I don't know, maybe denial if I didn't acknowledge that there are times when I discover new ways to do things or new occupations that I had never even been familiar with, that I'm walking alongside with someone and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, let's do this together. This is great. And so, I mean, it just expands all the things that bring meaning and purpose to me too.
Allison, I just want to add one more thing to that. I hope that's okay. It's like the lived experiences of our clients are really guides for us, and they help shape and improve our clinical practice and the research that we do. So I think they help us. Those lived experiences are something we need to cherish.
What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
I think that there's such a wide range of creativity within occupational therapy. That's something that really drew me to the profession. I remember being in school and people saying, if you get tired of this area, you can always move into this or this. So there's a lot of opportunity for change. There's a lot of opportunity for creativity. And I think that OT really allows us to really connect with our patients in a way that other disciplines, not to say they don't connect, but I think we can really kind of build these deeper, more intimate bonds because we're helping them in things that are really intimate. Toileting and dressing is a lot more intimate than walking. And so I think they hopefully our patients really build a sense of trust and rapport with us that leads to a deeper connection.
What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist and why?
My favorite part about being an occupational therapist is the idea that the story changes every time you meet somebody. It's a different story. And what you have to offer can be life-changing, and it's different too. It's always exciting. It's challenging, and I love that, and I think that's why we all love it, because it's diverse. It's changing every day. So it's interesting. It's never dull. So it keeps you learning.
I love that about our profession too.
What is your favorite part about being an OT and why?
I think being an OT is like a way of life and a way of seeing the world. And my favorite part, just in my current role where I get to interface with OTs all the time. I love that way of life and seeing the world is almost like a universal language where I can get on a call with, it feels like any OT from anywhere, and we just have this shared language, these shared values, and this like really easy connection point that just never fails to amaze me how I can just like connect so quickly and dive so deep with, it feels like basically any fellow OT.
Oh, that's so true. I totally agree with that. Yeah, just especially in this whole world of podcasting that we're both in, and kind of
Yes.
having to reach out to OT practitioners from all over the place. I have had very similar conversations.
Yeah, do you feel the same way? We're kind of in
I
the same boat. Do you
do.
feel the same way?
I do. I was just talking to a couple of OTs in England yesterday, and we're working in completely different settings. However, we spoke the same language.
Yes.
And, it took 30 seconds for us to kind of start nodding our heads when each was speaking. So you just get each
Yes.
other.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So my favorite part about OT is how creative I get to be right alongside of the neurology and the medical piece. So kind of in high school, I was a pretty big artsy person. I loved metal arts and all sorts of things like that. And I also really loved the science part of medical school, but I really didn't want to do like 15 minutes with a patient and then out. So OT kind of gives me an opportunity to not only be connected to the medical side, but also be creative by choosing different treatment activities and interventions and plans of care for every specific person. So it was a great meld between the two. And so it keeps me happy and engaged.
So actually, I love to do spicy research in terms of like the
Spicy.
harder the topics, the more I like it.
Okay.
And also, I like a lot of moving parts.
I think my favorite part about being an occupational therapist is the variety that we have in our day-to-day life. So this includes like the type of patients, depending on what setting you're in. I just completed my rotation, so I got two very different experiences, but we work with people of all ages, and it really just comes down to what is meaningful to our patients, and that can range from cooking one morning with a patient, and then later on you're working on dressing, and then maybe you go and do a community outing. And I think the variety of our interventions is not only helps me stay creative and keeps me on my toes, but also is just really fun and switches things up every day. And yeah, I love the variety of OT for sure.
I think really discovering people is one really favorite part, and that allows you to be creative and meet people where they are. I love that we're a profession that's not the same intervention to every person, and that the part of the challenge of being a great occupational therapy practitioner is finding that passion and occupation that person values and helping them achieve it.
I think I stayed in occupational therapy because the central or the cornerstone of this profession, discipline, is occupation. And occupation is an everyday thing that people do. And because of that, I was allowed to do a lot of different things and not just boxed into doing one thing, because there is one path in becoming an OT. No, since we are engaged, or our main mission is to help people work in different occupations, then that allows us to really do a lot of things beyond one can imagine. So yeah. And that's why we're here in this podcast.
Yes. 1000%. And I love that part about being an OT too.
I
always worked in some kind of human service or that kind of path where I was always in a helping profession, even before I started my OTA schooling. And I think that's what I've always liked about it, just being with other people and being able to see kind of the whole picture and be able to help people who can't necessarily see that whole picture get there. That's kind of my favorite part, just the getting to that whole picture, that big picture, the fine details, all of it.
I feel like I love learning, and I feel like as an OT, there's so much you can continue learning throughout the profession, and so many ways to expand your knowledge, whether that's like neuro or physiological, or right now I'm learning more about infants and feeding and oral motor development. And it's just so cool that we have access to so many avenues, babies, mental health, adults, kids, different settings, like you're saying, Brooke, like the hospital or surf therapy. And I just think it's so cool that we have the ability to always be able to learn so much more, and it's so expansive. And it's so fun. You can just kind of take that lens and do whatever, which is what I love about it.
Yeah, it's a really great answer. Like, I was thinking like the same thing. Like, I really love the aspect of that we get to learn. And if you wanted something different, you could learn something totally new and go a different direction. I'll say something else instead. I really love the aha moments that you see when you work with a patient, an athlete, a child, a client, and you see them be able to do something for the first time that they haven't been able to do. And you see their face light up and they're like, oh my God, I never thought I'd be able to do this again. That's like the perfect aha moment, the best part of what we do and why we do it. And so I really love seeing those aha moments in the people we serve.
My favorite part about being an occupational therapist is the freedom to do the things with my clients that they love to do and the things that they enjoy doing on a daily basis. So when I first wanted to become an OT, I shadowed someone who was working with clients on playing basketball. Another client, they were cooking biscuits and gravy. And then another group setting, they were making Christmas crafts of Christmas ornaments. So I loved doing those things because I love to do all those different types of occupations. So I immediately knew I wanted to be an OT for that reason.
Yeah, I think that's also one of my reasons, but I think the reason for me is that at the end of the day, and whether that be like the end of my career or the end of my life, I want to be able to look back and say, like, I had a job that allowed me to change people's lives, allowed me to help people and make a difference. And, there's a lot of other careers out there that give people job satisfaction. But I don't think that they would give me job satisfaction if I didn't get to every day make a difference. And so that's the one thing about OT that I really appreciate is, getting to make a change for someone.
I just love the fact that it is broad in the sense that we're drawing on biology, physical aspects, psychology, how people think and how they feel and how they react to things, the influence of the environment and their social situation. And I just can't think of any other profession which is that broad and that inclusive. And of course, all of those factors determine how we live our lives and who we are. So yeah, I think that's brilliant.
I just like the variety of it. My career is the perfect example of the taking advantage of the variety that OT can offer. I've worked in almost every setting, I feel like sometimes. And that's probably what I like the best. I just haven't been able to get bored.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, my favorite part is the diversity and the ability to be able to understand the things that give my life meaning and break them down and share them with other people, and also help people identify what gives their life meaning as well and help them pursue those things. I love working with people and just the ability to work on an individual level to improve their understanding of themselves and help them achieve goals, and also in a community and more activist capacity of actually really influencing the health of communities and societies as a whole. I think there's a lot of potential for occupational therapy to do that.
Yes.
Same creativity, so that I'm always updating and using actual logical skills and creativity every single day. It's not boring. So OT makes me feel alive, feel fresh every day. So I'm like looking forward, what will come next tomorrow, you know, even though it's the same client, but how can I change that obstacle course? How can I use this new cutting skills or new worksheet, etc.? So it's creativity, the same that makes me happy about OT.
My favorite part about being an OT is that anything can be OT. I tell my students this all the time. I'm like, if you have good clinical reasoning, anything can be OT. Like, we can use task analysis to break anything down and then use it as an activity.
Oh, my favorite part of being an OT is really the versatility of our skills. Like, there are so many areas in a lot of industries that we can be of benefit because of our way of looking at things in a more holistic way. We're a systems thinker, right? We know what the relationship is, the transactional relationship between the person, the occupation, or the task, and the context where that is happening. So not only we're able to analyze each of those, we're able to know what the dynamic is. And that is a very special skill.
Ooh, my favorite part about being an OT is really working with my clients and seeing progress, or just seeing the connections that they're making and watching the skills translate over. So really seeing the clients integrate and adapt the skills. That's probably the best part for me. Like, when I'm able to really provide support and just facilitate the skills that they already have and build on that, and when I see the clients get it, you just see a light bulb. And it's just amazing. That's my favorite part. Yeah.
I love the opportunity to get to connect with people deeply in a variety of different settings, people from all different walks of life. The lens that I feel as occupational therapy practitioners we bring to all of our interactions with people is so deeply special to me. I feel like it's a lens that has influenced not only relationships with clients in the clinic, but also with family members, people in the community, just thinking about the different contexts that, impact people, who they are, what lights them up. I just love that way of moving through the world that OT has given me.
My favorite part personally about being an OT probably is that it challenges me to constantly be learning new things that I use in my own life too. So it's kind of almost allowing me personal and professional development continuously. It's sort of not something that's, I don't get bored in it, because there's so many different areas you can work in, and every human that I get to interact with as an OT is different and encourages me to learn new ways of interacting with them. So that's probably my favorite. And then the other would be, I do really enjoy seeing people's lives change with just a little bit of intervention, and mostly their own ideas, really, that I'm sort of facilitating them come up with. I just love seeing that ability to make change happen.
I think my favorite part really is just meeting so many different people, talking to them, getting to learn their life journeys. Honestly, it definitely changes your life as well, because you meet these people, you see the things they're going through, and you change. I definitely have a different perspective when I talk to my friends about things. Like, sometimes people will say something about somebody like, And I'll be like, well, you don't know if that's a situation, or you don't know how they got there, or you don't know what's actually going on with their life. Like maybe you're not actually looking at the background of things. And I think that that's what OT has helped me do a lot.
I love the diversity and the flexibility within the profession. I work in pediatrics. I also work in tech, and I have been able to shift and adjust my passions. They say that over a career, you will change your profession, or you'll change your job multiple times. And I feel like you can do that with an OT. You could be a hand therapist, or you could be in acute care, and then you could do pediatrics, and you're still an OT, and you're still applying those same principles. And so you can shift and adjust your career path based on your interests and as your life moves along.
Yes.
So I find, as I have developed more of an interest in mental health and coaching, I find I'm bringing more of those pieces into working with families and adjusting what I offer. And I love that I can still do that within the scope of being an occupational therapist.
My favorite part about being an OT is that you get to be very creative. I've worked it across a couple of different settings, and I've seen a lot. And then now I feel equipped to be an entrepreneur. And I think that my OT mind never really turns off.
My favorite part is just being able to mold yourself to whatever your clients need. So like we're in so many different niches and settings and things like that. So we can do pretty much anything between, newborns to the elderly. So I think it's just fun to work throughout the lifespan and pretty much any setting that you want to, even non-traditional settings.
Really, for me, since I specialize in hand therapy, and so I love two worlds, right? I love anatomy. I love the way the body works. I love how it's designed, and I get to learn about all the different nuances and specialties of just your basic anatomy and how your body heals itself and how it's designed to work. To me, that it's just amazing to see that every day. But then the second part is I love the journey that I am on with the people that I'm working with, because you get to see somebody who comes in with some crazy traumatic injury or ailment or something that happened, and they're completely at their lowest, and you get to be a part of them in that transition. Maybe it's them realizing, wait a second, no, I can do this again. Or it's, oh, well, I was on this track to become, go into this profession, but hey, I never thought about doing something else. I'm good at that. Or Erica, what do you think of that? And you get to be in their life. You get to really be in their life, and you get to see somebody evolve. And I love that part.
Me too.
Yeah, I love that answer too. Different than what Erica does. My main jam is acute care. So, this is sort of a motif or a theme within our book is a lot of the OTs talk about that moment, and that moment is in the acute care. It's you and a complete stranger, and just a moment where like you're with them, you're by them, it's just like you're sharing a personal moment with a complete stranger. More often you're dealing with personal things. So like these moments for me are happening after a commode transfer, and they're like, I'm on the toilet for the first time in 3 months, and then you just share a moment with a stranger. Like nothing has to be said, nothing has to be like, it's just they're trusting you with like their most personal things, and you're that person that's doing that for them. So for me, clinically speaking, that's it right there. And then those moments with as an educator with those students, when you see them sort of get that aha moment, I guess it's the aha moment with the patient too, right? It's like, oh man, like this is it. We did it. We're here. We're on the same page. We're here together for your journey. It's pretty awesome. And I don't think other professions, even in healthcare, can sort of match that personability. So, it's heavy stuff, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And I work in a completely different setting too, right? I work in a community based, I work in a shelter. So, but then there's a certain acuity to the needs of the individuals that make them highly vulnerable. And we have, having shared some of those moments with people and, yeah, really kind of being a part of that has been my favorite part. And then you talked about students. I had a level 1 student and a level 2 student this week who were following me around, basically, just learning from me, right? And it was her last day on Friday, yesterday. And just the feedback that she gave. So it's just such a revolving door of good feelings, right? Because you put it out, you get it. So yeah, I absolutely love our profession and, the potential and, there's so many different ways that each of us sort of puts it out there in the world.
Yep. Yeah. And there's another, I had a coworker who once said, we have to be at our best when our patients are at their most vulnerable time. And it can feel like pressure, especially for new graduates. It can feel like a little overwhelming. You sort of start to feel that imposter syndrome. Like, am I doing enough?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Am I actually like making a difference with this person's life? Am I actually rehabilitating them? And because they're so vulnerable, it's amazing because the potential is there. And as you get into your career and as you grow and as you see occupation differently, right, as we evolve, it changes. But these people are vulnerable and were put there for a reason. So, those moments are really powerful. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I listen across these voices, across years, roles, and settings, what stands out isn't how different our work looks, but it's really how similar it feels. Now, some of us practice in clinics, some of us in community spaces, education, media, advocacy, systems work, some in roles that didn't exist when we first chose the profession. But when we talk about our favorite part of being an occupational therapist, the answer is rarely about the setting. As you've heard, it's about the moment someone feels seen. It's about the moment participation becomes possible again. It's the moment life feels a little bit more livable. No matter where we practice, we're drawn to the same thing: supporting people in living lives that feel meaningful, dignified, and their own. That shared thread is what holds this profession together, even as it continues to expand. Now, to my fellow OT practitioners out there, if you're listening and your OT path looks different than the imagined, or different than what people around you have done, well, know this: you're not as far from the center as you might think. Occupational therapy was never meant to be static. It was meant to respond. It was meant to adapt. And it was meant to meet people where they actually are. And maybe that's why, even though we practice in a wide variety of settings, our favorite thing about being an occupational therapy practitioner is almost always the same. So thank you to every voice that trusted the space and to everyone listening. Thank you for being a part of what occupational therapy is becoming.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Uncommon OT series. Connect with me at www.transitionsot.com. And don't forget to sign up to be part of the Transitions OT community. By doing so, you'll receive my latest compiled list of uncommon OT practice settings, the latest news on mentoring offerings, uncommon OT live events, non-traditional OT resources, and more. You may also follow me on my social media pages on Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you love this episode, head on over to Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts to follow, rate, and leave a review. I also ask you to consider pledging your support to my Passion Podcast project by being a patron on Patreon. It is very much appreciated. Sending big OT love. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.